It's that glorious month. This is really, and I even talk about it in here, low impact installs, the weight, it's getting close. And that's a really good thing, but that doesn't mean there's not work to be done. And I'm probably forgetting some major work, but when it comes to this time of year, I'm focused on planting and bucks and hunting and scouting and really getting ready for the season. So August Deer Chores are less about work when it comes to habitat and more about work and planning as it relates to actual deer hunt. And this is my favorite time of the year. I've said this to people often that, I started this Whitetail Habitat Solutions in 05. That's when we came up with a name, and I started my first website, went to my first clients in 05. And so it's been a long road. This is the 20th season of doing this. And really, Whitetail Habitat Solutions doesn't accurately sometimes describe what we do. It's more about whitetail hunting strategy and how that relates to how you would create habitat based on how you actually want wildlife on the property, whether it's whitetails, rabbits, grouse, pheasant, whatever it might be. There's a strategy that comes along, and that strategy is the most critical, and that strategy is what I like talking about and leads us into hunting season. So here we go. August Deer Chores. This is a great month, exciting month, and I'm excited about complete buck ID. What I mean by that is you get to about August 10th and August 15th, those bucks stop growing completely. So what you see is what you get at that time of the year. Some of you might be really disappointed. You were thinking you was going to add another 100 inches or 50 inches. But really, it's slowing down and stopping by mid-August. And so you know exactly what he's going to look like going into the season. You know exactly what buck he was the year before. We have still one that we're kind of clueless on. And it's kind of throwing us because he's wide enough and big enough. Dylan thinks it was a nice 3-year-old from last year, and he's just blowing up this year. His body looks older than 4 to me this year. It looks more like 5. But if he's 5, who is he from before? So, it's kind of like we're going back and forth right now. We always narrow that one down. But bottom line is, I'm watching, as far as when and where to kill him, I'm watching that buck's patterns right now during the summertime as it relates to what bucks I've known about in the past that exhibited those same patterns and then did this in the fall. Because their summer patterns typically don't repeat as to where you hunt them and kill them in the fall. But a lot of times those bucks that had a certain summer pattern do the same thing that other bucks did in the fall. And so in watching that buck, where he likes to bed right now, or where we see him often when we do see him during daylight, really gives us clues into what stands we could potentially hunt him coming up. Now, complete buck ID, really go backwards to look forward. What I mean by that is really study this buck's behavior. It might have only been, you might have had 10 pictures of him last year in and around daylight. Well, where was he? Usually I find those patterns don't completely change the following year. He might have been telling you for 3 years, I'm going to show up sometime during the rut, which means he's going to be during good weather. He's coming from a ways away. You don't see him that much the rest of the year. Well, really look at those bucks and those buck IDs and say, this is what's going to happen. Be very realistic when it goes into opening day, and really realistic on those bucks that you know are going to show up in September. LO Beams is a buck. They were just talking about it, Jen and Dylan and I, when he actually shows up. End of September 2 years ago, Dylan, was when you were with Tyler. That was 2 years ago. Time flies. Yeah, no kidding. And they got to see LL Beams from the stand. He was about 45 yards, moving through the brush. He was a nice 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old, somewhere around there. He's 4. Yeah, 4-year-old. I passed him up that gun season too when he was a 4-year-old. Then last year he's this beautiful 5-year-old, super heavy buck. And we didn't see him last year until he was hard horn. Right, I don't think we saw him in velvet, is what we were discussing. So that puts him more mid-September. So we're still, from when we're filming this, we're at 6 to 7 weeks away from when we typically expect him. But we do expect him. We know he made it through the season. We saw him a month after the season ended. We found a shed from him. So unless he got killed during the summer some way, we know he's still around, and I'm expecting him to show up around that time, and I don't have any reason to think that he won't show up around that time. And we have a few stands we can kill him from if he shows up at that time. So we're really excited, and we're planning for hunts on a buck that we haven't even seen this year. Just knowing he made it through the season, he's told us when he'll be here. We're being realistic, and we're not going to hunt for him on opening day if our opening day was September 1st, because typically he's not here yet. But he is about mid-September. We know where he's at, and we can't wait to give him a good hunt this year because he's a special buck. He'll be a beautiful 6-year-old. So it's time. You can identify them. They're done growing. You know if they made it through the season. And even if you haven't seen them yet, you can start setting your sights on them and what stands you're going to kill them from. Trail cams. We want all our trail cameras out and active and ready. We've been working really hard to get our Reveal 3.0s out. We've been using Reveals for a few years now. Jen's been using them since they came out. So I got to see them for 2 years before I even switched to Reveal. Get to know them, love them, use them. And we're making sure this year, we've had some in the past that weren't true HD. And with the new 3.0s, the ones we converted in the past, we're getting all our cameras on HD so that we can bring that footage to you at a higher level in the YouTube videos. I know Dylan, he'll sometimes use a really good clip that's not HD, but you can tell, and Dylan would prefer that we not use those. So it's there's a big difference. And now I think that there's really no excuse in the last couple of years for many of the cameras we have. They're all full HD. And we added a whole bunch of 3.0s this year, which are working beautifully. I've also enjoyed, Dylan, I don't know, I think you've probably the same thing, not using SD cards.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Really awesome. So now I was really happy when we could go to SD cards back in the day from, really going back, I think it was a CD card, compact disc card, or what was it was a, started with a C. But it was a big SD card. It wasn't the SD, it was a bigger one.
Compact flash, maybe?
Compact flash, maybe. Yeah, it was flat, but it was, I used some, that's probably dating me quite a bit, but back in the day, that's, there's a transition from all these cameras, and so to not use an SD card after all these years is pretty dang cool. And so I've been really enjoying that. I've been enjoying that it searches for whatever service is the best. It hones in on when you start the camera up. And so those are just two of the features we've really been enjoying, not to mention the full HD, better pictures, the sensor's better, better resolution in the pictures, a brighter, more vibrant picture. So we'll bring those to you, but you can rest assured we're getting them all active right now. I don't want to go into the woods late September. Our season opens mid-September, even if it opened October 1st. I don't want that to be the time that I'm putting these cameras out. I want to get them all set, ready to go. And the cool thing about that, with the battery maintenance now, if we're not even using solar panels, these cameras, if we're just getting light pictures, a light amount of pictures, occasional 10-second videos, then we can expect these cameras we're putting out right now to last the season. And so that's what we're used to. We're not putting these on food plots where we get 400 pictures a day. We're getting a few hundred pictures a month. We put them largely on mock scrapes or passageways, transition corridors, travel corridors, cruising corridors, water holes, where we expect bucks to live in October, November, December. So that's lowering the number of pictures we have. That's also making our cameras last. When we get them out now, we expect them to last, and they do. And with some of the solar panel maintenance they have on them, we've had cameras last for well over a year. And if you're putting them on pictures, in the near future or right now, having a camera last for 2 years or more with solar and just taking pictures is very likely. Hey everyone, we'll be right back. But pretty cool, the Earthway Model 2750 that I've been recommending for decades is back. What I mean, the OG version. They tried several different versions over the last 2 years, much to our disappointment. I finally got through to someone at Earthway, and I think a lot of other people did, and they brought the old one back. And so it's pretty cool. We believe in it so much, we're actually carrying it now. So we have them on our site, Pure Wildlife Blends, WHS. You can buy it at either one of those locations. So check it out. We rely on it. I know you can too. Now back to the video. There's something really exciting. We were running out of the old bags. So check them out and ask us any questions you want on how to use them. You'll be very happy with them. Food plots in. I love our food plots. I love getting them in, but it's always a sweet time of the year when we can crush all our buckwheat down. This year we're going back in 7 to 10 days later. and we're planting our fall crops. All our fall food we can simply plant by just broadcasting. So when we have those dead and decaying stalks of the buckwheat on the ground, it aids germination, holds moisture, a little bit of trash on the ground then. Lots of open soil. When we wait a week to 10 days, we can actually hit some of our bad broadleafs like pigweed, maybe lamb's quarters. We can hit that with 2,4-D, and then that's out of the ground in 7 to 10 days. When we throw the seed, by the time the seed germinates, it's well out of the ground, so we don't have to worry about that. We chose to do that way this year, and we've been forced to do it the last couple of years with drought where we didn't have much buckwheat. We have great buckwheat this year. So what I really like is we can plant our buckwheat earlier. We can plan on getting 5 feet tall. We really don't care. And then when we smash it down, you wait a week to 10 days, we spray it. It starts to dissolve. That buckwheat aided our soil, so it didn't allow it to erode. It held moisture against the soil like a greenhouse effect, doesn't allow it to get baked out and cracked out. It also puts a big fine organic root ball in the ground that lifts the soil and puts great nutrients back in the soil. And of course, it's the only complete smother crop that smothers out weeds that you can plant. It completely shades out the ground. So it does a lot of good to our ground. And so the taller and stronger we can get it, then we don't have to worry about seeding into it. We took our beans out, a lot of oats out of our fall mixes that need more of a covering. All our seeds do really well by throwing them on the ground. Even our peas. Peas are hard to germinate, but they're very hardy seeds. We had peas that we threw down last year in August that actually germinated this spring because we had drought last year. So in some of those dry soil areas, the peas didn't germinate last year, but they did, and they were still viable this year. Throughout all that winter, all the frost and freeze, they're still on the ground very hardy, where a bean plant would have been dead in 2 weeks. It would have gotten a little soft, maybe even started germinating and then died. So we don't want that. We have seed blends in our Pure Wildlife Blend seed mixes that the reason I make those mixes up, and I make all of those up, choose those seeds and percentages that go in there so that you have the best chance of success as well as we do. But it's August. August is a perfect timing. When you're down in central Kentucky, it might be more mid-August for you. Up here in the north, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, northern Pennsylvania, you're looking at more early August, August 1st, even late July if you're up north and you get a good rainfall. You don't want to miss that rain. When you get down further south, when you get into West Virginia, Tennessee, down towards Louisiana, you might want to spread those planting dates, Arkansas, towards more September 1st for your fall greens. Grains, we're usually about a month behind. You're not planting rye and oats right now. Terrible timing. Someone could say, well, I don't have the time later to do this. Well, don't plant grains right now. Plant something else then. Because you're planting grains right now, they're going to be too tall. Deer don't like them. They often seed head. They head out if you have a good growing season in the fall. And then you're putting seed down next spring when you don't want it, especially with some of the more like rye. You don't want it to get to 5 feet tall next year. You want to kill it in the spring. If you have seeds laying there, when you kill it and mow it the first time, there's seeds in there that germinate later and can really come back to bite you later in the summer when you don't have the equipment to take care of it. So you have to really watch that, but watch these planting dates. But from August 1st to September 1st, this is the incredible planting window we've all been waiting for. Low impact installs. We have a lot of stand locations and areas where we can get into during a little wind, a little rain, cut a couple limbs that we need for shooting lanes, or even install a stand that we know is an open timber tree and we don't need shooting lanes. We can just throw that in on a windy, rainy days coming. We just get it in and get it out of there. We're not planning on hunting that stand, obviously, in a week or two. We're planning on hunting in a month or more. So there's a few weeks of forgiveness there. The deer will be forgiving even if they leave for a little bit. But within 3 or 4 weeks, even those mature bucks are back. And so really look at some of those low impact installs. That's what we're doing. And we're going around to all our stands in our minds and heads and sometimes in person, making sure that we can utilize them for the season. And then, of course, August to me is a cool time of the year because it's when the wait begins. We get our food plots in. We get our plot start is going on the ground this week. I'm crushing the buckwheat today and yesterday. We're getting our fertilizer in the ground. We have liquid fertilizer from Deer Grow we're using about 2 weeks after the crops come up. But all that takes place sometime in August. And I'm not saying we kick back and do nothing. There's always a lot to do still, but it's the wait. I want the property to start to heal. the human presence off it the closer we get to September. And we're throwing out our rye in early September on our layering system. But other than that, cameras are ready, stands are ready, food plots are ready, our trails are mowed, everything's done, and the wait begins. And it's all for naught. All of this is all for naught unless you're shooting your bow all the time. And so that begins for me and continues for me. I shot a lot earlier in the year. My shoulder's been giving me some trouble, so I laid off. I was a little nervous. I shot a couple arrows today. It actually felt pretty good. So I'm going to start that process of adding arrows going into the hunting season. But I know my shot's good. I feel good. I just got to build those muscle memories, and you do too. And so right now, whether you're shooting 10 arrows a day, 5 or 50, you need to hit the range. It's a lot of fun. Grab a buddy. It's fun to do that with, and have some fun shooting some foam and targets. But always shooting these deer chores, and that'll keep you on target along with all these things you can do in August for a great hunt coming to a woods near you very soon. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.